Howdy, Dairy Road families. This week we've been talking all about the Wild West. So I wanted to do a little science experiment about the desert because the desert is in the Wild West. The weather in the desert is very what? Do you know what the weather's like? It's very, very hot and very, very dry. It doesn't rain a whole lot in the desert. Now, our weather in Florida is also hot, but it's not so dry. It rains a lot more here. The reason that it's hot in the desert and hot here in Florida is because a lot of times the sun is out and there's not usually clouds covering it in the desert. This hot sun can make the ground and everything around it warm too. So I wanted to do a little science experiment to see what else could the sun do. All right, I'll show you what you're going to need to do this sun desert science experiment. You're only going to need two things. You're going to need some paper and you're going to need some coins. I'm using pennies. That's it. Some dark colored paper like blue or purple or green would probably work best because we're going to see what happens when the paper sits out in the sun for a whole day or maybe even more if you want. What I did is I put mine out yesterday so I can show you what it looks like after it's been outside in the sun. You're going to take your paper and you're going to put it somewhere flat where it'll get lots of sun. You could maybe do it on your porch or by a window. I actually went outside and stuck mine in the back window of my car because I thought that would be a nice sunny spot and then I wouldn't have to worry about it getting wet if it started to rain. So I put my blue paper just like this flat in the back seat of my car so that it was nice in the sunny window. And then I took my pennies and I laid them flat on top of the paper. And that's what you're going to do. If you don't have pennies, you can use other coins or you could use something else flat. You just want to make sure it's not something see-through like a glass stone or something. Because you're going to lay your pennies or something else flat and make a pattern. And then you're going to leave it alone. You want to come back probably tomorrow and you're going to see what happened. You could even wait longer if you wanted. I actually left mine in my car for 2 whole days just because I wanted to give it extra time in the sun and see what happened when that paper sat outside in the hot sun for 2 whole days. And I'll show you what happened. Can you tell what pattern I made with my pennies? You can see right here the little circles from my pennies. I laid them flat, and where the pennies were covering the paper, it stayed dark. But the paper that was not covered by the pennies, how did it change? It changed color, didn't it? Did this part of the paper get lighter or darker from the sun? Can you see? It got lighter. Because the pennies were covering up the paper, it protected it. Kind of like when we sit under the shade in a tree or we put on a hat to keep our faces shady. Those protect us from the sun and keep us safe. So the pennies protected my paper. And now I have a fun little sun print. So that's all you'll need to do your sun prints. And you can even do an experiment. Maybe you want to see what works better. Putting it on your porch or putting it in your car. You could also see what happens if you leave it even longer than I did. Maybe you want to leave your pennies in your paper for 3 days or 5. Or maybe you'll only leave them for 1 and yours will look different too. That's the fun thing about science experiments is you can do them however you want and your results can be different. All right, I hope you guys had fun and try this science sun activity at home. See you soon.